if you work on enough movements that have the Etachron type regulator on them, eventually you're going to need to remove the hairspring from the balance wheel in order to either correct the hairspring curve for regulation or if you want to replace the balance complete. In this video, I'm going to show you what your tool options are, the correct way to use the tool, and even a couple ways that you can even make one of these tools yourself. Now, the tool design is pretty straightforward, and it's the same no matter which one of the tools you get. You have the Bergeron 6919. You have the Bergeron 16918-EETC, which is the one that I have. You have the Hortec 03-015. And if you have an account with Boley, there's the Boley 51337. They all have the same basic design, which utilizes a two-pronged fork at the tip of the tool. Now, the purpose of this tool is to be able to push out this stud from the stud holder without damaging the holder, without bending this piece, or without damaging the spring or the stud itself. Now, the first thing you want to do is you want to make sure that the movement is secure in whatever type of holder that you're using. And you want to make sure that the balance is secured to the main plate. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to straighten out the regulator block. So we want the regulator block so it's fully open. Now we're going to take our tool and we're going to insert one of the forks into the slot of the stud holder. And we're going to have the other end that's going to push on the balance cock. And we're going to, with a very light touch, we're going to gently push it out, making sure that we don't push so fast that it goes flying out, bending the stud. Now with the hairspring stud free, we can remove the balance cock and the balance wheel and hairspring will be separate from the balance cock itself. Now, to replace the stud, you would just put your balance wheel and hairspring on the movement. You would screw down your balance cock. We're going to maneuver the stud back into position, making sure that it's resting on the hairspring stud holder. And now using the backside of our tweezers, we can just gently push the hairspring stud back into the holder. Now, these tools are readily available at your supply houses, but if you have a set of escapement files, there are a couple different ways to make one depending on what materials you have on hand. For the first method, we're going to use a piece of brass rod. And this particular piece of brass rod measures out to 2.35 millimeters. So basically 2.4. Now, with it secured into a clamp, we're just going to lightly file a bevel on each edge. And we want to leave about a 0.5 millimeter on a thickness at the very end. All right, now that we have our taper on both sides of the rod, I'm just going to use a triangle file, and we're going to start a groove right in the middle, of the edge. And we're just going to try to center it as best as possible. Now that we've got our slot started, to open it up a little bit, I'm just going to use a round rat tail file. And that's just going to widen it enough so that now I can get a square file inside the groove. And I'm just going to try to straighten it out. And that's really all it takes. Now I'm just going to cut off about maybe an inch, inch and a quarter of the rod. And to hold it, I'm just going to use my barrel arbor pin vise. Now let's use our new tool. Works just the same as the one from Bergeon. Another way you can make the tool, which I think is probably better, is by using one of your extra screwdriver blades. This is a 2.5 millimeter blade that's obviously already been tapered. So we just need to cut the slot in it. One of the advantages of this is that you have a handle already. So even though it's steel and takes a little bit more to work, this is going to be by far a better option. So the method's the same. It's just our material is going to be a little bit harder. We're going to start. We're going to start by using our triangle file to create the center groove. I'm now going to switch over to my round rat tail file. Now I'm going to switch over to my square file. Now I'll remove the good screwdriver tip from my screwdriver, and we're just going to switch over. And let's see if it works. Works just perfectly, just as the Bergeron tool did. And now we can put our hairspring stud back in the keeper. Just remember to make sure that the movement is secure in your holder and to use a very light touch when pushing out the stud block. And because there's so much more to learn, I'll see you in the next video.